It is astonishing that no one talks about or seems to care who the Nicolaitans are. I mean, the Mashiach says multiple times in Revelation that he hates the doctrines of the Nicolaitans. So would it not be wise to look into this, to see who the Nicolaitans are, and to make sure that we are not following any of their doctrines? This video will be a brief rundown of who the Nicolaitans are and what their significance is. The Nicolaitans were around in the New Testament times, claiming to be apostles and perverting the truth to the people. They would visit places after the apostles had gone and distort the message that was given. Both Paul and John spoke about a heretical movement or a church that was among them. And this is the same false church mentioned in Revelation. There is so much regarding the Nicolaitans that needs to be talked about, and unfortunately one video will not be enough. But in the meantime, what you must know is that the modern day Nicolaitans is the Roman Catholic Church. That said, just because you may not identify as a Catholic, it does not mean that you do not adhere to the Nicolaitan teachings of the Great Harlot. What people do not understand is that all Christian denominations gave their authority over to the little horn, that is, the Roman Catholic Church. So if you obey any of their teachings, even if you do not call yourself Catholic, you are worshiping the beast. The word antichrist was not mentioned in Revelation, but only in John's letters. And the Nicolaitans replaced the word antichrist, as John was telling us who and what the antichrist is through his visions and prophecy. And it is important to understand that the word anti in the Greek meant a substitution of Christ, a replacement. So anyone who studies history and understands what the Catholic Inquisition demonstrated while understanding Scripture, it is quite obvious that the little horn, the Catholic Church, is the Antichrist, as there are many Antichrists, according to John. So it is so obvious that they have to spend billions of dollars trying to hide it from us. The doctrines of the Nicolaitans are many, and I plan to go more in detail in later videos, but here are a few of those doctrines that the Mashiach hates. First is the Christ Mass, which is really the worship of Rome's Christ, which is... What people do not understand is that Bishop Sixtus III, which is literally the 666 foretold in Revelation, was a Nicolaitan. Sixtus III instituted the Christ Mass as a law throughout the Roman Empire, punishable by the sword, and this was the abomination of desolation. And they had as king over them the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon, but in Greek he has the name Apollyon. Pray about this, brothers and sisters. This is much bigger than you think. Some other doctrines include the observance of the pagan holidays and the downplaying of the importance of observing Yahuwah's feast days. Replacing the seventh-day Saturday set-apart Sabbath with Sunday worship. We learn in the book of Jubilees that Yahuwah views the Shabbat day as more set apart than any other day. It is symbolic of the rest we will have with our Mashiach in the millennial reign. That said, you cannot be surprised when you experience premature health concerns if you do not obey the command to rest by the one who created your body. We also have the Trinity belief, and this goes back to ancient Egypt. And I'll have to talk about this on a different video, but this verse right here, verse 13, is talking about how the Antichrist will be a Trinitarian. Also, the transubstantiation, which is the belief that they turn the wafer and wine into the body and blood. This is actually witchcraft, is what is happening, and I'm going to go into that more in a later video. Idol worship and communication with the dead. Also, the Nicolaitans spread the idea of lawlessness, and they spread the belief-only doctrine to salvation, where obedience was not necessary for salvation. Also downplaying sins such as sexual immorality and fornication, and this includes lust, and also the removal of the dietary laws. And as I mentioned before, witchcraft, they introduced that also into the church, And this is more prevalent than you think. Many Christians dabble in the occult without knowing it. So this is something that you should pray and ask the Ruach or the Spirit for answers if needed, because this is something that is dangerous. And also pedophilia was big among the Nicolaitans. And we do see that connection still to this day. This verse, number 14, I'm going to do a whole separate video on it, but if you read it, it talks about how Balak put a stumbling block before the children of Israel. And if you look deep into that, it is talking about the priest or whatever having relations with young boys. So this is real. This is going on still to this day. And this is something we all need to look into.